And I will be editing this. It's not like it's all just going raw on, on social media. I really enjoyed your TED Talk.
Thank you.
That was really inspiring. What inspired you to apply to be a TED Talk speaker?
So what inspired me to actually apply to do a TED Talk, I always wanted to do a TED Talk. I always felt like I was going to do one, just never knew when or where. Always wanted to share my story in some type of mass platform.
Right.
And when I saw it was coming to University Pacific, I just applied. Just not really thinking about it, just see how it goes. And
what was the process like for like when they selected you? Like,
it was from what I remember, it was like an interview process. I actually applied to talk about our program, Merced United Leadership Academy, and our soccer program that we're running. And then they seemed like interested, but it was like not really like interested, at least from feeling. And then I mentioned something that where, like I was actually played within Merced United when I was young on dialysis, and they're like, "What do you mean on dialysis?" And then that's how my health story started coming out, and then they're like, talk about that and integrate your Merced United story to that. And that's how it came out. And then they said, you're going to be it on the spot. More likely we'll call you next week to confirm.
Awesome.
So I was the only student, I guess, that they got.
Okay. So you're doing the degree completion program now. How did your the health issues that you have overcome in your life, did that affect your education journey?
Yeah, absolutely affected my educational journey. I was going to Southwestern College in San Diego, community college, and I was ready to apply to universities. And the month I was applying, I ended up losing my second transplanted kidney that my mom donated for horrible mistakes that I did, and it ended up having to go back on dialysis, and that caused me to go back to Merced, and mentally I wasn't there to go back to school or finish school. So for the next 13 years I had to focus more on my health full on. And then once I got my third transplant, in November 29th of 2022, that summer of 2023, I applied to Pacific.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
And what made you choose the organizational leadership program here at Banner?
Yeah, I was in the American Leadership Forum, ALF, for a bit, and someone mentioned that they had their bachelor's, master's, and PhD in organizational leadership. I just thought that was really interesting, just because as president of a youth soccer club, it's all about structures. And I looked up what is the closest university that has that program. University of Pacific had it, and they had it for an accelerated program. And everything about it, I just started researching the school and the history, and I just really fell in love with it from afar, not really into it yet. And I applied that July, like a couple of weeks before the admissions was closed, and I got in.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm a Pacific alum too, so I always love, like,
I actually contacted a counselor first to see if I was even able to transfer, because my goal was actually to go back to community college and do it all over again from the ground up. He's like, actually send your he's like, have you gone to school previously? And I was gonna say no, because I was gonna start from scratch.
Right. You feel.
And I was like, I did. He's like, send your transcripts, and I sent it. He's like, yeah, apply.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so awesome. I was excited. I was finally going to university, not just for like going to community college.
Right.
And then I just went all out, focused on it.
Fabulous. And how has your experience been in this program?
It's been amazing. I think all the professors, all the cohort, everybody's experiences, I've learned from every single individual. The connections are definitely going to be lifelong relationships, and I think the reason why I really enjoy it is because I can apply the knowledge right away.
Right.
Because it's for working professionals, and I feel that is important. It's a really interesting distinction, and it's not like I'm going to college to get a job. Most people already have jobs or trying to get promotions, or they're professionals, and you just have that network.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. And then, as you're completing your degree, what do you feel like has been kind of the most valuable takeaway from this program?
Yeah, just like with my health, I even showing, solidifying more in what leadership is those traits and qualities of adapting and empathy and learning about your network and communication skills. And I think those things, if I had to say pinpoint one thing, it's definitely communication skills, communication with your professors, communication with your team, and that's how you succeed. Again, you're not going to be solitary in these type of endeavors or these journeys. And I think communication was one of the things where I'm really learning, where I felt I lacked personally in communication skills, and I think I started growing in that.
Let me double check with my thing is still going. Okay, perfect. So one of the things that you talked about in your TED Talk was asking yourself like how you can look at your obstacles as stepping stones, and I was hoping you could speak more on that and kind of give some examples.
Yeah, because there were so many things I went through during dialysis, during those 13 years, that it was more of a mental mindset where it was like I almost had to trick my mind into thinking of it as like, okay, I got to get through this to get to another step, and then I have to get this to get better to another step. And it was always, I felt like there were just like little steps, little stones, little stepping stones into something better. Now I had to believe and convince my mind that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and that it's going to get better. So I always had to focus and have that carrot and have that goal to keep going. And I think each surgery, each procedure that I went through was just a process of me learning myself and getting to do something that was going to eventually help me out in life in the future.
It's awesome that you were able to use that to like drive
It's
your
definitely
goals.
a driving force.
Yeah, no, that's fabulous. And then talking about, now how long have you been at Merced United?
I've been in Merced United since 2007.
Okay.
So I started off as a recreational coach, and I did really well there, and the president's daughter was a referee, and usually coaches could be really mean to referees, and I was just really, polite, and she was young. Even coaches don't really care about that, and they're still angry about the calls. And
Sure.
the president took notice, and he was really awesome, really enthusiastic, and he got me in. The recreational coordinator position was open, and I ended up stepping into that position. And within a year, he actually said, "Hey, I want to step down." I was like, "I'm not taking the president's spot unless if you're still there." He's like, "Nah, I'm gonna nominate you to be the president. You have the vision, you have the drive, and I think you should be it." And ever since then, I've been the president.
Oh, that's awesome. That is really awesome. How do you feel? Do you feel like this program, the degree completion program, the organizational leadership program, has either helped you already, or how do you feel like it's going to help you in the future?
I think it's helped me already because, like I said, all the classes I've taken, I think I have applied them within that same week, that same month, like continuously throughout the program. It's not like, okay, I gotta wait until I get a career. Like, I could apply it right away. And I think even from project management to writing professional letters for grant writing, and I think even organizational structures, which has taught me that there's an interest of mine now that I want to eventually do my master's and do research in organizational behavior, organizational structures. And it's interesting because whether it's Merced United or any other industry, healthcare, public office or whatever, but when you come back to Merced United, as far as youth sports and youth development go, it's all about organization.
Right. That's awesome. Have you been looking at master's programs here at Bennard, or are you looking outside?
I have. So one of the programs I've looked at here at the University of the Pacific is the Organizational Innovation and Change at Bennard, which I'm really interested in because I feel kind of connects technology, organizational structures, and those types of things. And outside of Bennard, I'm looking at Stanford and Berkeley as well. specifically at Stanford with their POLS program at the Graduate School of Education, which is Policy, Organization, and Leadership Studies, and kind of the same program at Berkeley, but at their School of Education.
Okay.
But, you know, I'm really looking at Pacific just because I really feel comfortable. I really feel, you know, some of my cohort members want to apply to the same program. You know, I kind of felt like University of Pacific gave me that first stepping stone, and I feel I'm pretty loyal, and I feel like, oh man, I really feel like part of the community here, and I wouldn't mind moving from Merced to Stockton here.
Oh wow!
For the time being.
That's awesome. So one of the things that I'm gonna tell you a personal thing about myself. I'm interviewing you. But my sister-in-law is about to receive her second kidney donation, and so organ donor, like being an organ donor is such an important thing to me. And what's interesting is actually our Gladys L. Bennard, who is our namesake, she's the benefactor who donated to kind of establish the Gladys L. Bennard School of Education and Bennard College, but she was actually really passionate about organ donation too. She actually established the first eye bank in Stockton. So she was kind of a trailblazer on organ donation in this area. And so my question is, what would you tell someone who is kind of on the fence about signing up to be an organ donor?
Yeah, I think it could be really scary, and I think individuals always talk about, you know, I think people get scared right away, culturally as well. But I think if people could get past that, especially if it's for a family member, most individuals would not even blink an eye to give an organ to a family member. Now we're talking about kidneys and probably a liver that you could donate, not necessarily the heart, right? But I think individuals would definitely give a kidney. And I think the individuals more that would probably be actually difficult are the kidney recipients, I believe. A donor, they more likely have made up their mind in a positive manner, and recipients are really scared. Ultimately, the recipients are going to feel really, really, really good, and it's actually the donor who actually feels a little bit worse in the beginning. But like my mom hasn't had any issues with one kidney. I walked right away when she gave me the kidney, and she was a little bit more hurt, but she recovered well. And I think it's almost giving someone else a new life, a new chapter. I feel grateful for the individual. You know, someone more likely has to pass away if it's because I had it from a cadaver and from a live donor. I've had 3 kidney transplants. So the third one was from a cadaver out of Ohio. Feeling really grateful because it made me come to the University of the Pacific. It made me be extremely ambitious. Made me feel like I don't want to waste time with the time I have. And I think individuals, especially people that are receiving the kidney or any organ for that matter, if they're young, I think they should really, really think about it, because you're giving another life, another chance to feel normal, or at least whatever normal in their life is.
That's wonderful. No, and it's so interesting, kind of, I've done some research on like the way that kind of it works, especially with my sister-in-law, and the chains that you can do, where it's kind of like, you know, you would be willing to donate, like if I wanted to donate a kidney to my sister-in-law, but she's not a match, you can find a match, and they find a match for that person, and there's like I find that concept of like organ donation and being able to create that chain to give people a new life, I just think that it's wonderful. So
there could be a chain of 4 or 5 individuals giving each other just based on, you know, blood types and things like that.
Right. You have that gift of life.
Right.
You know, I love that.
Right.
And so we've talked a lot about what you're doing now. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah, like 5 years, like I said, I feel like I'll be going to graduate school somewhere. I'll be hopefully in the process of doing my PhD somewhere again, hopefully my PhD in organizational behavior within high performance teams, whether it's like a neurological surgeon team, a transplant team, to, you know, a high performance championship basketball team, to possibly getting an ED, a doctor of education, even here at Bennard. So there's multiple routes I would like to go. I know it's within the education health field. Like I previously mentioned, at Stanford, they have that policy, organization, and leadership studies at the Graduate School of Education. But they also have, it's only 9 months, but they have connected a possible double major with the Master's in Public Policy, focused on healthcare policy. And I think since I have been doing research with UC Davis with the in-route study, which focuses on transportation issues in the dialysis community. And I think I really feel everywhere I go in these conferences, in these medical conferences, it's been interesting that it's a lot of medical individuals and not really any voices within the patient, no real patient voices. And I think getting my education at that high level, but then bringing that lifelong patient voice, which I was born with renal failure, it's all I know. Living in a children's hospital, you know, for, you know, I just feel comfortable in a hospital, which is really weird to say. But taking that perspective, I think, from a sociological, psychological perspective, I think can help a lot of policy changes in how doctors or social workers treat patients culturally and things like that. So
that's awesome. I love that. That is, that's great. I don't have any other questions for you. Is there anything else that you can think of that you want to speak to on kind of your journey in this program, or through the TED Talk, or anything else?
Yeah, I think this program has really motivated me and prepared me to be ambitious, to be like, I came in really nervous, thinking like I wasn't good enough or felt, but it really gave me the confidence to feel, to strive for more, and to think about research and think about academia and other careers, and you know, everybody always asks, but what can you do with that degree? I was like, well, technically I could do whatever I like. It just depends what I want to do at that time. And the TED Talk was really interesting. I think I felt really good. I think I was really nervous going into it, but after, I felt like I could do it again. I actually applied for TEDx UCLA and TEDx Harvard just to see if I could get in. Who knows? But I would still want to do other TED Talks. I felt like the network there was really awesome, and it really connected me with other stories, you know, and you know, I always talk about that. I understand that my story is really interesting, but coming from, you know, one of my first majors was film, showed me that everybody has a story, and I could see everybody's story, and I think that is actually a driving factor in pursuing public policy and education, because everybody, I feel, it deserves that access, and not everybody has that, especially in my normal work where I teach financial education to high school students in series, and seeing underserved communities within soccer and youth sports, the pay-to-play system, tackling all these issues is something that is hopefully my life work.
That is awesome. I love that. You have such a great, inspiring story. So I really appreciate you sharing that with me and us, as the greater. If you don't mind, I'd love to take a few